The S&P 500 was down slightly in today's trading session, down 0.47%, closing just below the 60/40 level. Looking at the gamma exposure data, we have seen a large shift in skew in the options market towards the positive side over the last several trading sessions. I'll note here that the 6200 strike is currently the largest positive gamma exposure concentration, and it's the largest gamma exposure concentration on a net basis. In addition, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen some support out of our lower dealer cluster zone. We bounced out of this zone in mid-January, and we bounced again 2 trading sessions ago. And so this looks like a decent area of support for now, with the positive gamma exposure as well as the volume coming in the options market. In particular, look at the volume today at the 6100 strike. This is in the options market. A ton of volume coming in at that 6100 strike on SPX. We've seen this price action a couple of other times in recent history. If we scroll back here on our chart, we tagged the 6100 level in early December multiple times, and prior to that, we also saw this big volume at the 6100 strike in the options market coming in, and we saw it again just last week as we ramped back up into that 6100 level. Now that we've dipped and we're seeing this volume come back in, this is telling me that market participants are expecting another move higher back through that 6100 level. So that's going to be something that we factor into our probability assessment, the likelihood increasing of a run up through the 6100 level yet again. That coupled with this gamma exposure concentration at the 6200 strike basically tells me that the odds are stacked for a move in the coming weeks through 6100 and above.
Thanks, Anthony. Good points on the S&P. I agree with you that it looks like 6100 definitely has a good shot down the road. One thing that I wanted to point out briefly about the Dow, man, that thing took off like a rocket. Once we got above the whole moving average here. And in fact, it didn't even really participate in that gap down Monday. It just kept going up, which is really amazing to me. We did just cross over the hole to the downside today. And so kind of what I'm wondering, and this is just a speculative possibility, I'm wondering if maybe the Dow actually plays a rotation game and we see DIA come back, maybe to the 440 area, while the S&P and the NASDAQ see more upside. So that's something I'll be watching in coming days. Let's take a look at Bitcoin briefly. We are below the whole moving average, and we've been consolidating sideways basically since November with these brief spikes higher. We did get to this 110 area that we had been mentioning, 109,358. We fell just shy of it. And we see the Keltners have moved higher, now reflecting 112 as the upper end of the channel. However, with Bitcoin, we're seeing that there's still a big gamma cluster at 110, and we have volume there as well. So I really think there's a pretty good shot that Bitcoin moves back up. Maybe this time we don't stop at 109 and we actually make it to and maybe beyond 110. So Bitcoin looking constructive at the moment.
Yeah, Sean, and Bitcoin is one of our indicators that we watch to gauge risk on sentiment. So really interesting to see it holding in between this 100 to 105,000 range over the last week or so. Next, let's take a look at Meta. Meta trading higher in after hours, just reported earnings. Market seems to like it. We've hit the 700 strike. This has been the largest gamma exposure concentration going all the way back to early December. We've been pointing this out in a number of our videos over the past month and a half. We've continued to see options volume coming in at that 700 strike, and we have officially hit that level here in after hours. So really nice to see gamma exposure playing out even on the back of a major earnings release. In terms of Meta going forward, we saw continued volume coming in today at the 750 strike and the 800 strike. Now, a lot of this was most likely speculators coming in pre-earnings. So I'm going to be watching these levels in the coming weeks to see if these are viable targets after perhaps some consolidation, maybe a little retracement over the next several days. But I think if Meta can find some footing around the 700 level, this could serve as a next leg higher into these upper levels if we continue to see volume coming in the options market at these higher strikes. There's a lot of interest in Meta as a big player in both the AI, social media, and marketing space. And so it's got a lot of things going for it in 2025.
Anthony, last week, a couple of days in a row, we highlighted Apple because Apple was very oversold. It had reached this whole moving average after dropping below it for so long. It had finally crossed back above the hole. And after crossing over the hole, Apple really took off. It's been a great week for Apple. I did notice it made a lower high today, and it is kind of stuck at this middle Keltner channel. We're above the hole, though, so that's bullish. And we have the upper Keltner channel at 254. Now, one thing I wanted to mention as we go into earnings, which of course introduces a lot of uncertainty regarding the short-term path, but we still have this big gamma cluster at 250. I will note it's not concentrated at this Friday's expiration. 240 and even down to 235 are in focus for this Friday, but the 250 strike is mostly concentrated later toward the end of February. Still looks constructive, and depending on what happens tomorrow, as of now, Apple still looks like it's a buy the dip opportunity. So we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Sean. Next, I want to take a look at Netflix. Netflix trading slightly higher today, just around the 975 area. We tagged or just almost tagged the 1,000 strike after earnings. This was a level that, again, we had been discussing for the last several months as gamma exposure was growing and really dwarfing the other strikes in the Netflix options chain. So we've been consolidating here basically between 950 and 980 for the last several trading sessions. It does look like volume continues to come in at the 1,000 strike. We've got gamma exposure at the 1,000 strike still holding strong. So the odds are definitely in favor of a move towards the 1,000 level. You can see the probability zone is really between 1,000 and the 1,020 level. Anywhere in here looks like a potential zone for the next target for Netflix. I will say, however, when we look up the options chain, I'm not seeing any meaningful gamma exposure growing above that 1020 level. And so if we did make a move into this 1,000 to 1020 zone, I would expect probably a rejection or consolidation at the least. And this would probably be an interesting area to lock in profits on any of those who are still holding Netflix longs. And don't forget, we are running our winter special, $300 off our yearly portfolio manager tier subscription. Use code WINTER2025 at checkout. You'll get access to our gamma exposure dashboard and our option flow analytics tools. You definitely don't want to miss that. Link in the description below. You'll also get access to our premium channels in our community Discord. We've got a ton of great traders in there sharing trade ideas, portfolio strategy, and market analysis. So check that out when you get a chance. Link in the description below. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.